The wolf pup's teeth were at her throat when Sage woke, not biting, just there. Hot breath against her jugular, a tiny growl that sounded more desperate than dangerous. Sage froze on the concrete floor of the abandoned GM factory, her heart hammering as she registered 2 more small bodies pressed against her sides, shivering despite the Detroit summer heat. "No," she whispered. "No, no, no." The pup at her throat, a girl, maybe 5 years old in human terms, whimpered and burrowed closer. Sage felt the child's ribs through matted fur. Starving. They were all starving. She should run. Right now. But the little girl's eyes opened, amber and pleading, and Sage's chest ached. "Just for tonight," she muttered, knowing it was a mistake. By the second day, Sage understood her mistake was much bigger than she'd thought. The pups followed her everywhere, through the morning crowd at the soup kitchen where she volunteered for meals, down the alleys where she collected returnable bottles, into the public library where she spent afternoons pretending to read while really just enjoying the air conditioning. They weren't just following, they were tracking her. "Mama," the little girl kept saying, the word broken and hopeful. The 2 boys, brothers clearly, just stared at Sage with those 2 old eyes that said they'd seen things no child should see. "I'm not your mama," Sage said for the 20th time, dumping her bottles at the redemption center. "You need to go back to your pack." "No pack." The older boy's English was rough. "Gone. All gone." Sage's hand shook as she pocketed her meager earnings. She knew that feeling. 5 years she'd been running. 5 years since she'd seen her mother's blood on her father's claws. 5 years since she'd understood that being an Omega in the wrong pack meant being property. She'd come to Detroit because big cities were easier to disappear in, because no one looked twice at homeless people, because she could suppress her scent with a cocktail of herbs she'd learned about online, mask what she was, stay invisible. These pups were making her visible. "You have to go," she said, but her voice cracked. The little girl took her hand. "Mama, stay." The rogue wolves found them on the 3rd day. Sage had tried everything. She'd taken 3 buses in different directions, walked through a river, even rubbed herself down with garbage to mask her scent. The pups still found her, waiting outside the shelter where she sometimes slept, tails wagging like she'd just come home from war. She was leading them down an alley shortcut when the smell hit her. Male, aggressive, rogue. "Well, look at this." The voice came from behind a dumpster. An Omega and some strays. 4 of them. Big, scarred, the kind of rogues who'd been kicked out of packs for good reason. Sage pushed the pups behind her, heart racing. "We're just passing through," she said, keeping her eyes down. Submissive, unthreatening. "You smell wrong," the leader said, circling closer. "Like you're trying to hide something. What are you hiding, little Omega?" The pups growled. Actual growls, high-pitched and fierce. The little girl shifted, standing on 2 legs now, her dress filthy, her eyes wild. "Protect Mama," she said. The rogues laughed. One lunged. Sage didn't think, didn't breathe. She just stopped. The power came from somewhere deep, somewhere she'd locked away the night she watched her father kill her mother. It rolled out of her like a wave, like a command her body issued without permission. Submit. The rogues dropped. Just like that. On their knees, heads bowed, whimpering like the pups had whimpered. "I'm sorry," one of them said. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." Sage grabbed the pups and ran. She didn't stop running until her lungs burned. The pups kept pace easily, their little legs tireless. When she finally collapsed behind an abandoned church, the reality of what had happened hit her. She'd used her Omega power, in public, in front of witnesses. Her father had always said she was too strong, that she'd bring trouble. That's why he'd wanted to breed her to the beta's son, lock down her power in service to the pack. That's why her mother had died trying to get her out. "We need to leave Detroit," she said to the pups. "Tonight, all of us." The little girl climbed into her lap, Mama, keep us safe. Sage wanted to argue, wanted to explain that she couldn't even keep herself safe. But the weight of the child against her chest felt like the first real thing she'd touched in 5 years. Okay, she whispered. Okay. 300 miles away, in a high-rise overlooking Lake Michigan, Alpha King Dmitry Volkov stood at his window and tried to control his wolf. 17 pups missing in 8 months, his head enforcer, Marcus, said. All from different packs, all under age 7. Dmitry's jaw clenched. Children. Someone was taking children. The last 3 disappeared from a Detroit pack 2 weeks ago, Marcus continued. We've had teams searching. But what? There was an incident this afternoon. Local rogues reported being subdued by an Omega. 3 pups matching our missing children's descriptions were with her. Dmitry's wolf surged forward so fast he had to grip the window frame to stay in control. An Omega. With the missing pups. Where? We lost track of them. But Dmitry... Marcus hesitated. The rogues said her power was unlike anything they'd felt. They said she compelled them. No Omega should be able to... Her scent. Dmitry's voice came out rough. Did they get her scent? Wild honey and lightning. That's what they said. And something else. Something hidden. Dmitry's wolf was clawing at him now, demanding, desperate. Wild honey and lightning. The scent from his dreams. The scent he'd been searching for without knowing why. I'm going to Detroit, he said. Dmitry, you can't just... Now, Marcus, have the plane ready in 20 minutes. He didn't understand why his wolf was so certain, didn't understand the pull. But as he walked out of his office, one thought kept echoing through his mind. Mine. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The abandoned factory smelled like desperation. Dmitry stood in the doorway of what had clearly been Sage's sleeping area, his wolf howling inside him. A thin blanket. Scattered protein bar wrappers, a plastic jug for water. In the corner, 3 smaller nests made from newspaper and cardboard, still holding the faint warmth of small bodies. She's been gone less than an hour, Marcus said. Crouching near a makeshift fire pit. Packed up fast. She knew we were coming. Dmitry moved deeper into the space, his senses overwhelmed. Wild honey and lightning. Her scent was everywhere, soaked into the concrete, clinging to the threadbare blanket. But underneath it, he caught something else. Herbs, suppressants, the chemical tang of someone trying desperately to hide. His wolf wanted to tear something apart. No Omega should live like this, he said quietly. Marcus held up a battered notebook. She's been tracking something. Look. Dmitry took the notebook, his chest tightening as he flipped through pages of careful handwriting. Lists of herbs and their properties, sketches of plants, dosage calculations for scent suppressants, and on the last page, a child's drawing. 3 stick figures labelled me, Tommy, Sarah, next to a bigger figure with the word Mama written in crayon. The pups had drawn this. For her. Run her name, Dmitry said, and Sage Bennett, full background. Marcus was already on his phone. The silence stretched while Dmitry studied the small space, trying to understand. Why would an Omega choose this? Living rough, clearly hungry, sleeping on concrete when her biology demanded comfort, security, pack. What was she running from? Dmitry. Marcus's voice was strange. You need to see this. The phone screen showed a death certificate. Sage Marie Bennett. Deceased 5 years ago, at age 19, cause of death, suicide following alpha punishment for attempted pack abandonment. Dmitry read it twice, 3 times. This is wrong. The certificate was filed by her pack alpha, Silas Bennett of the Shadow Creek Pack in Montana. It's official, registered with the council. It's a lie. Dmitry's voice came out as a growl. She's alive. I can smell her. Then why would her own Alpha declare her dead? Dimitri looked at the death certificate again, at the name of the Alpha who'd signed it. Silas Bennett. Her last name. Father? Brother? His wolf surged forward with a certainty that terrified him. Mate, it whispered. Our mate is running from her own blood. Sage's hands shook as she crushed the wolfsbane berries, trying to extract their poison. Mama. Tommy's hot again, Sarah said, her small voice tight with fear. Sage looked at the boy, lying on the motel room's second bed. His skin was flushed, his breathing shallow. Next to him, his brother Alex wasn't much better. Both boys had been deteriorating since yesterday, their healing factors failing. Their wolves too weak to fight whatever was in their systems. She'd stolen enough from a convenience store to pay for one night in this dump. The clerk hadn't even looked up, too busy on his phone to notice the 3 kids who should have been in school, or the desperate woman who smelled like fear. Sage held the crushed berries up to the light, studying the purple juice. Wolfsbane was poison to their kind, but in tiny doses it could sometimes neutralize other poisons. She'd learned that from her mother, who'd been the pack healer before Sage's father had killed her for helping their daughter escape. Please work, Sage whispered, drawing the juice into a makeshift dropper. Please. She'd tested herself first, just a drop on her tongue. The burn had been immediate, her wolf recoiling, but she hadn't died, hadn't even gotten sick. But these pups were already sick, already dying. Sarah clutched her hand. Mama, fix it? Sage looked at the little girl, at those amber eyes so full of trust, and felt something break inside her chest. She'd spent 5 years running, 5 years telling herself she couldn't be responsible for anyone else, that getting close meant getting hurt. These pups had destroyed that safety in 3 days. I'm going to try, she said. But if this doesn't work, Tommy convulsed. Just once, his small body arching, a whimper escaping his throat. Sage made a decision. She grabbed the motel phone and dialed the number she'd seen on every news broadcast for the last 2 years. The number anyone could call to reach the Alpha King's office with tips about missing pack children. King's Guard. How may I help you? Sage's voice came out steadier than she felt. I have information about the missing pups. The ones from Detroit. A pause. Then, hold, please. The next voice was male, deeper, with an authority that made her wolf want to submit through the phone line. This is Marcus Chen, head enforcer. Identify yourself. I have the 3 pups from Detroit. They're dying. Wolfsbane poisoning, I think. But I can't. Her voice cracked. I can't save them alone. Where are you? No. First you promised me sanctuary. The King's word that these children will be protected and healed no matter what. The King is currently... I know he's in Detroit looking for us. Sage cut him off. I know he's been tracking me. Tell him I'll surrender myself in exchange for the pup's treatment, but I need his word. His oath as Alpha King. Another pause. Muffled voices. Then a new voice came on the line, and Sage's entire body went rigid. She knew this voice from television, from the nightmares where strong alphas found her and dragged her back to her father, from the deepest part of her wolf that recognized power when it heard it. Alpha King Dmitri Volkov. You have my oath, he said, and even through the phone, the words wrapped around her like a physical command. Tell me where you are, and I will save those pups. I will protect them with my life, on my honor as king. Sage closed her eyes, felt Sarah's small hand in hers, heard Tommy's labored breathing. Sunrise Motel on 8 Mile Road, room 23. But I have conditions. You're in no position to negotiate. I am when I'm the only thing keeping these pups calm enough to transport. Sage injected steel into her voice. They trust me. You take me into custody, fine. But you hurt me, scare me, or separate me from them before they're stable, and they'll shift. 3 traumatized wolf pups, scared and dying, in a human motel. You want that scene on the evening news? Silence. Then, What are your conditions? I stay with them until they're healed. No interrogation until they're safe. And you investigate what happened to them before you decide what to do with me. And if my investigation reveals you're responsible for their condition? Sage laughed, the sound bitter. Then I'll accept whatever punishment you decree. But we both know I'm not your enemy, Alpha King. I'm just the one who found them. More silence. Sage could almost feel him calculating, weighing options. I'll be there in 15 minutes, Dimitri finally said. You run, and I will hunt you to the ends of the earth. Do you understand? I'm not running anymore, Sage said, and meant it. Not from this. She hung up before he could respond. Dimitri broke every traffic law getting to the Sunrise Motel. Marcus was already there, having been closer, but he'd followed orders and waited outside the room. When Dimitri's SUV screeched into the parking lot, his enforcer jogged over, face grim. I can hear the pups from here, Marcus said. Laboured breathing, elevated heart rates. She wasn't lying about the wolfsbane. And her? Heartbeat steady. She's sitting with them, no sign of flight risk. Dimitri forced himself to walk, not run, to room 23. His wolf was tearing at his control, desperate to get to her, to see her, to understand why every instinct he possessed was screaming mine about a woman he'd never met. He knocked once. Sage Bennett, it's Alpha King Dimitri Volkov. It's open. He turned the handle and stepped into a scene that would be burned into his memory forever. She was sitting on the bed between two small boys, one hand on each of their foreheads. A little girl was pressed against her side, face buried in her ribs. The room smelled like sickness and fear, and underneath it all, that scent that had been driving him crazy for 2 days. Wild honey and lightning. But seeing her, actually seeing her, hit him like a physical blow. She was small, thin, her dark hair pulled back in a messy braid, her clothes clearly second-hand, her feet bare. But her eyes, grey-green like a storm, met his without flinching. You came, she said. I gave my word. Dimitri couldn't look away from her. His wolf was utterly silent, transfixed. How bad are they? Bad. I think they ingested wolfsbane over a long period, weeks maybe. It's in their systems, breaking down their healing. I tried to... She gestured to a makeshift chemistry setup on the nightstand. I thought I could neutralize it, but I don't have the right equipment. Dimitri pulled out his phone. I have a pack doctor on standby. He'll be here in 5 minutes with everything we need. They're scared of strangers. Then you'll help him, just like you said. Sage studied him, clearly surprised he was honouring their deal. Her hand moved to stroke the little girl's hair, the gesture so protective, so maternal, that Dimitri's chest ached. Why did you really call me? He asked quietly. You've been hiding for 5 years. You could have kept running. They were dying. Sage's voice was simple. I couldn't watch them die. The little girl, Sarah, according to the drawing, lifted her head. Mama saved us. I'm not... Sage started, then stopped, sighed. I'm not really their mama, sweetie. You are, Sarah insisted. You smell like mama. You feel like mama. You are mama. Dimitri watched something crack in Sage's expression. Watched her pull the pup closer, press a kiss to her forehead. Okay, she whispered. Okay, baby. A knock at the door announced Dr. Chen, Marcus's younger brother and the best wolf physician in North America. Dimitri let him in, watched him assess the boys with quick efficiency. Definitely wolfsbane, Dr. Chen confirmed, but it's been modified somehow. Enhanced. This isn't natural poisoning. Someone engineered this. The temperature in the room dropped. Engineered, Dimitri repeated. You're saying someone deliberately poisoned these pups with modified wolfsbane? Over weeks from the looks of it. Slow dosing. They wanted these children to suffer. Dr. Chen's jaw clenched. I can counteract it, but I need my full lab. We need to move them now. No. Sarah's voice was a whimper. Stay with Mama. I'm coming with you, Sage said immediately. I told you. I remember the conditions. Dimitri crouched down so he was eye level with her, Up close, he could see the exhaustion in her face, the fear she was trying to hide. "My estate is 20 minutes from here, full medical facility. You and the pups will have a suite. You'll stay with them until they're healed. And then? And then we talk about why you're legally dead, who's trying to kill these children, and what the hell is happening in my territory." Sage met his eyes, held his gaze. Dmitri felt the impact of that look down to his bones, felt his wolf rise up and whisper things he wasn't ready to hear. "Deal," she said finally. Dr. Chen moved forward with an IV for the first boy. Sarah whimpered and shifted, her small wolf emerging, teeth bared. "Sarah, no." Sage's voice carried a power that made Dimitri's eyebrows rise. The pup immediately submitted, shifting back, tucking into Sage's side. "The doctor's going to help Tommy feel better. You need to be brave for him, okay?" Sarah nodded, trembling. Dmitri watched Sage soothe the pup while Dr. Chen worked. Watched her calm each child with nothing but her presence and voice. She had no alpha authority, no rank, no official power. But those pups obeyed her like she was their moon. "How long have you been using suppressants?" he asked quietly. Sage's hand stilled on Sarah's hair. 5 years? "You're hurting yourself. Suppressants aren't meant for long-term use." "I know." "Then why?" "Because being found would hurt worse." She looked at him then, really looked at him, and Dmitri saw something in her eyes that made his wolf whine. "You're going to investigate my death certificate. You're going to call Shadow Creek Pack. When you do, my father will tell you I was unstable, dangerous, that I tried to kill him and he had no choice but to put me down. Is any of that true? The dangerous part, maybe?" Sage's smile was bitter. "But I never tried to kill him. I just tried to leave. That was crime enough." One of the boys, Tommy, started seizing. Dr. Chen cursed, adjusting the IV, calling for Marcus to help hold him down. Sage moved immediately, her hand on the pup's chest, her voice dropping into a croon that raised every hair on Dimitri's body. "Shh, baby. I'm here. Mama's here. You're safe. You're so safe." The seizure stopped. Just like that. The boy's breathing evened out, his body relaxing under her touch. Dr. Chen stared. "What did you just do?" "I don't know," Sage admitted. "But it works. It always works with them." Dimitri's phone buzzed. A text from his lead investigator. "Found something on Sage Bennett. You need to see this now." He stepped outside to take the call, leaving Marcus to guard the room. His investigator's voice was tight. "The death certificate is fake, but it's a good fake, filed through official channels, signed by her alpha father, corroborated by the Pack Beta. But here's the thing, there's no body, no burial record, no cremation certificate, nothing." "Someone wanted her erased from Pack records," Dmitri said. "It gets worse." I pulled Silas Bennett's file. He's been under investigation twice for abuse of Pack members. Both investigations were dropped due to lack of evidence. But Dmitri, one of those investigations was opened by Sage's mother, Leanna Bennett. Dimitri's blood went cold. What happened to the mother? Killed in a training accident 3 weeks before Sage's supposed death. The timing isn't a coincidence. Dmitri looked back at the motel room, at the small Omega inside who'd been living in an abandoned factory. Poisoning herself with suppressants, choosing starvation over going home. Silas Bennett killed his mate and tried to kill his daughter. That's my assessment, but there's no proof. And Dmitri, if you accuse an alpha of murdering his mate and falsifying Pack records without ironclad evidence, the council will crucify you. Then I'll get evidence. Dmitri ended the call and walked back inside. Sage was helping load Tommy into a medical transport, her face drawn but determined. The other boy, Alex, was already sedated. Sarah refused to let go of Sage's hand. "Ready?" Dmitri asked. Sage nodded, started to walk toward the transport, then stopped, turned back to him. "When you call Shadow Creek Pack," she said softly, "don't tell them you found me. Not yet, please." Why? Because my father has friends, resources, and if he knows I'm alive, he'll come for me. Her voice dropped to a whisper, and he won't care who he has to go through to get me back. Dimitri stepped closer, close enough to catch her full scent, wild honey and lightning, and underneath it all, the subtle musk of an omega in distress. No one, he said, letting his alpha power ring through every word, is taking you anywhere. Do you understand me, Sage Bennett? You're under my protection now. My oath as king. She searched his face, looking for lies, for loopholes. Why? She finally asked. You don't even know me. Dimitri didn't have an answer that made sense, didn't understand why every instinct he possessed was screaming at him to put this woman behind him and dare anyone to touch her. Didn't know how to explain that his wolf had claimed her the moment he'd caught her scent. Because those pups call you Mama, he said instead, and anyone who'd sacrifice herself for children she barely knows deserves protection. It wasn't the whole truth, but Sage seemed to accept it. Okay, she whispered. Okay. She climbed into the transport, Sarah immediately crawling into her lap. Dimitri watched her settle the pup against her chest, watched her press a kiss to that small dark head, and felt something in his chest click into place. Marcus appeared at his elbow. You know this is going to get complicated. It already is complicated. She's hiding something big. I know. Dimitri climbed into the transport across from Sage, but she's also telling the truth about the pups and about running from her father. How do you know? Because his wolf knew. Because something primal and undeniable was singing in his blood every time he looked at her. Because for the first time in his life, the idea of a mate didn't feel like a political necessity or a biological inevitability. It felt like recognition. I just do, Dimitri said. The transport started moving. Sarah fell asleep against Sage's chest. Sage's eyes met Dimitri's across the small space, storm grey and wary. I'll keep my end of the bargain, she said quietly. I'll stay until the pups are healed. I'll answer your questions, but after that? After that, we'll see. I can't stay, Alpha King. Eventually, I have to disappear again. Call me Dimitri. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. And you're not disappearing. Not until I understand what's happening. Someone faked your death, poisoned these pups, and turned 3 pack children into traumatized strays who latched on to the first person who showed them kindness. Those aren't separate incidents, Sage. They're connected. Her face went pale. I think you stumbled into something much bigger than either of us understands. And I think whoever's behind it won't stop until they silence you. Dimitri held her gaze. So, no. You're not disappearing. You're staying right where I can protect you. You can't protect me from my father. Watch me. The words came out as a growl. Sarah stirred, whimpering. Sage immediately soothed her, humming something low and sweet. Dimitri watched her gentle the pup back to sleep and made a silent vow. Whatever it took, whatever he had to do, whoever he had to fight, this Omega was his to protect now. And heaven help anyone who tried to take her away. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The Volkov estate smelled like old money and older power. Sage stood in the entrance hall, Sarah clutching her hand, and tried not to panic. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, oil paintings of stern-faced alphas lining the walls. Everything about this place screamed pack, family, permanence, all the things she'd been running from for 5 years. The medical wing is this way, Dimitri said, gesturing toward a hallway. Sage started to follow, then stopped. The hair on the back of her neck was standing up. She turned slowly, scanning the hall, and found at least a dozen wolves watching from doorways and alcoves. Their eyes were bright, intent. Wrong. Dimitri, she said quietly, your people are staring. They're curious, We don't often have guests. No. Sage pulled Sarah closer. They're not curious. They're agitated. A young wolf stepped out from behind a pillar, nostrils flaring. What is she? I need. His voice was strained, his eyes flickering between human and wolf. Stand down, Parker, Dimitri commanded. The wolf whined but didn't move. Others were emerging now, drawn by something they couldn't name. Sage felt their attention like ants crawling over her skin. It's me, she whispered. I'm doing something to them. You're suppressing your scent. Not well enough. Sage's suppressants had worn off hours ago. She'd been so focused on the pups. She hadn't had time to make more. And now her natural scent was bleeding through, hitting every unmated wolf in the estate like a drug. Marcus appeared, his beta authority rolling through the hall. Everyone out now. The wolves scattered, but slowly, reluctantly. One actually growled before Marcus's glare sent him running. This is a problem, Marcus said flatly. The medical wing, now. Dimitri scooped up Alex from the gurney, moving fast. Dr. Chen, is the Omega suite ready? Prepped and sealed, but Dimitri, if her scent is causing this reaction, then we isolate her until we figure out why. Sage wanted to argue, wanted to say she could just leave, save everyone the trouble. But Tommy chose that moment to seize again, his small body convulsing in Dr. Chen's arms. She ran. The Omega suite was beautiful in a way that made Sage's chest hurt. Soft furniture, thick carpets, a bedroom with an actual bed, king-sized, piled with pillows and blankets that looked like clouds. The medical equipment seemed almost apologetic, tucked discreetly in corners so it didn't disturb the comfort. I'll be right outside, Dimitri said as Dr. Chen set up IVs for the boys. If you need anything. We're fine. Sage was already moving to Tommy, her hands on his face, her voice dropping into that soothing croon. Shh, baby. Mama's here. Come back to me. The seizure stopped. Tommy's eyes opened, unfocused and scared. Mama, right here. You're safe now, I promise. She felt Dimitri watching her, felt the weight of his gaze like a physical touch. When she glanced up, his expression was unreadable. That's the third time you've stopped a seizure with just your voice, Dr. Chen said. How? I don't know. It feels right, like my wolf knows what to do, even if I don't. Can you try something for me? Dr. Chen gestured to Alex, who was whimpering in his sleep. He's in pain. Healing isn't taking. Can you? Sage moved to the other bed, placed her hands on Alex's chest, closed her eyes and reached for that place inside her. The place where her Omega power lived. Warmth flooded through her palms. She felt it pour into Alex, felt his body accept it like water to dry earth. His whimpering stopped. His breathing evened. When she opened her eyes, the boy was sleeping peacefully. Impossible, Dr. Chen breathed. You accelerated his healing. I watched his vitals spike and stabilize. What are you? Tired, Sage admitted. The room was spinning. She'd used too much power, pulled too hard from reserves already depleted by days of hunger and fear. Dimitri caught her before she hit the floor. Easy, he murmured, and his voice did things to her wolf that terrified her, made her want to lean into him, trust him, submit. She shoved away hard. Don't touch me. You're about to collapse. I'm fine. But she wasn't. Her legs were shaking, her vision was blurring. Dr. Chen, what does she need? Food, rest, and to stop using her Omega abilities like a limitless well. Dr. Chen was checking her pulse, frowning. You're burning through your life force, Sage. Healing them is literally killing you. They were dying, and now they're stable. So you're going to eat, sleep, and let me handle the medical treatment. Understood? Sage wanted to argue. But Sarah was tugging at her shirt, face worried. Mama needs to rest, the little girl said seriously. Like you tell us. Traitor, Sage muttered, but she let Dr. Chen guide her to the couch. A servant appeared with food, real food, Not the scraps Sage had been surviving on. Soup, bread, fruit. Her stomach cramped just looking at it. Eat slowly, Dmitri said. He'd settled into a chair across from her, watching, always watching. You'll make yourself sick. I've been hungry before, I know. Something dark flickered in his expression. I saw your living situation, remember? Sage ate the soup in silence, hyper-aware of his presence. He was too close, too attentive, and her wolf was responding in ways that made her skin crawl. She'd spent 5 years training herself not to react to alphas, not to feel the pull of their authority. But Dmitri wasn't just any alpha. He was the king, and her omega biology knew it. The children, she said, desperate to focus on something else. What happened to them? They said their pack was gone. What does that mean? Dmitri and Dr. Chen exchanged a look. We were hoping you could tell us, Dmitri said carefully. What have they said to you? Not much. Broken phrases, nightmares. Sage set down her bowl. Sarah talks about the White Room. Tommy screams about needles. Alex won't speak at all unless it's to his brother. Did they say anything about who took them? Where they were held? Before Sage could answer, Tommy sat up in bed, eyes wide and terrified. The bad man, he whispered. The bad man with the needle. He made us shift, over and over, said we were broken, had to fix us. Sage was at his side immediately. It's okay, you're safe now. Broke our wolves. Tommy's voice was small, shattered. He broke our wolves, Mama. They don't work right anymore. What does that mean? Dmitri asked gently. Couldn't shift back sometimes, or shifted when we didn't want to. He said, Tommy's face crumpled. He said we were experiments, that he was making something better. Rage rolled off Dmitri like heat from pavement. Sage felt it press against her skin, felt her omega instincts scream at her to soothe him, calm him. She shoved those instincts down, hard. Someone was experimenting on pack children, Dr. Chen said, horrified, forcing them to shift until their wolves destabilized. That's torture. That's a death sentence if I find out who did it, Dmitri finished. Sarah climbed into Sage's lap, trembling. Mama makes it better. When Mama touches us, our wolves don't hurt. Because I'm healing them, Sage realized. The experiments damaged their connection to their wolves. My omega power is repairing it. But it's draining you, Dr. Chen said. At this rate, you'll burn out in days. Then I have days to fix them. Sage, they're children. Her voice cracked. Someone tortured them, broke them. I'm not going to stop helping just because it's hard. Dmitri stood abruptly. Marcus, a word. He left the room, his beta following. Through the door, Sage heard raised voices, arguing. Mama's in trouble? Sarah asked. No, baby. The Alpha King is just... Sage stopped. She didn't know what Dmitri was doing. Planning. Thinking. The door opened. Marcus entered alone, his expression carefully neutral. Miss Bennet, he said formally, the Alpha King would like me to ask you some questions. Is that acceptable? Do I have a choice? Yes. Marcus settled into the chair Dmitri had vacated. You can refuse, but the answers might help us find who hurt these pups. Sage looked at Tommy, at Alex, at Sarah. Ask. Your father is Alpha Silas Bennet of Shadow Creek Pack? Her throat closed. Was. I don't claim him anymore. He reported you killed by rogues 5 years ago. Said you tried to run and they caught you before you made it off Packlands. I did run, but rogues didn't kill me. Then who filed the death certificate? My father did. To cover up what really happened. Sage's hands fisted in Sarah's hair. My mother tried to help me escape. He caught us. Killed her in front of me, told me if I ever came back, he'd finish what he started. Marcus's expression didn't change. You're saying Alpha Silas Bennet murdered his mate? Yes. That's a capital crime. If true. It's true. Sage met his eyes. But I can't prove it. I was 19, untrained, terrified. I ran. I've been running ever since. Why did you want to escape? The million-dollar question. Sage looked at the pups, made sure they weren't listening. Because he wanted to breed me, she said quietly, to his beta's son. Lock down my power in service to the pack. My mother said no, said I deserved to choose my own mate. He killed her for that defiance. Marcus went very still. Your mother's name was Leanna Bennett, yes? Leanna Volkov before she mated your father. Sage blinked. Yes. How did you? Because she was the Alpha King's aunt. Marcus's voice was flat. She was killed in a training accident 15 years ago. The council investigated but found no evidence of foul play. The room tilted. That's impossible, Sage whispered. My mother died 5 years ago. I watched her. No, you watched someone else die. Marcus leaned forward. Leanna Volkov went missing 15 years ago during a coup attempt against Dimitri's family. The attackers wanted information about Dimitri's location. She refused to give it. Her body was found 3 days later. Dimitri was 12. He's been searching for her killers ever since. Sage's wolf was howling. Memories were surfacing that didn't belong to her. A white room. Pain. A voice asking, "Where is the boy?" over and over. No, she said, no, my mother. Her hand started glowing. Dr. Chen cursed. Sage, you need to calm down. But she couldn't. Power was pouring out of her, uncontrolled. Sarah yelped as healing energy flooded into her. Tommy and Alex both gasped, sitting up, their eyes wide. Make it stop, Sage begged. I can't. I don't know how. The door slammed open. Dimitri was there, his presence filling the room. Everyone out, he commanded. Dimitri, she's destabilizing. Out now. Marcus hesitated, then shepherded Dr. Chen and the pups from the room. Sarah was crying, reaching for Sage, but Marcus held her firmly. Mama, I'm okay, baby. I promise I'm... The lie died in Sage's throat. The door closed. She was alone with Dimitri, and her heat cycle, which shouldn't have been due for another 2 months, slammed into her like a freight train. Oh, God, she gasped. No, not now. Dimitri's eyes went pure gold. His wolf was surfacing, called by her heat, by the biological imperative that screamed mate. Sage. His voice was barely human. I need you to listen very carefully. I'm going to leave. Right now. Before I do something we'll both regret. Can't. She was on her knees shaking. Can't control it. Stress triggered it early. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. He was backing toward the door, every muscle tight. Just stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except Dr. Chen. Dimitri, her voice saying his name, broke something in him. He moved before she could blink, crossing the room, pulling her up against him. His scent wrapped around her, pine and winter frost, and safety, and her Omega sighed in relief. You're my mate, he said roughly. I knew it the moment I caught your scent. My wolf has been screaming it for 2 days. And now you're in heat, and I can barely think, and... He pressed his forehead to hers. I won't force this bond on you. I won't be like your father. Do you understand? Sage's entire world was narrowing to the feel of his hands on her waist, the warmth of his breath on her face. My mother, she whispered. Marcus said. She was my aunt, my father's sister. They tortured her to death trying to find me during the coup. I know. The words came from somewhere deep, somewhere that wasn't quite Sage. I remember it. I was there. Dimitri pulled back, searching her face. What? The death ritual. Sage's eyes were changing colour, shifting from grey-green to the pure silver of an Omega in power. My mother performed it the night she died, transferred her memories to me, all of them, including the ones from when she was Leanna Volkov. The room went silent. That's impossible, Dimitri breathed. The Omega death ritual is forbidden. It's been outlawed for centuries. The only time it's used is when the Omega has information that must survive at any cost. Sage's voice wasn't entirely her own anymore. The memories were surfacing, taking control. Your aunt knew she was going to die, knew my father would kill her for defying him. So she gave me everything. Every memory, every secret. What secrets? The coup. Sage's eyes locked on his. She knew who helped them. Who gave them access to your family's compound? Who betrayed you? Dimitri's hands tightened on her waist. Who? But Sage was collapsing again. The heat and the memories and the power use all catching up at once. Dimitri caught her, lifted her easily, carried her to the bed. Tell me, he demanded. Sage, tell me who killed my family. Can't. She was shaking apart. The memories are locked, protected. She didn't want them found until what? Until you claimed your mate. Sage's laugh was half sob. She knew, somehow she knew you'd be my fated mate. Built the lock so only you could open it. The bond has to be completed, fully, or the memories stay hidden. Dimitri stared at her. You're saying I have to claim you, complete the mate bond, to learn who murdered my family? Yes. And you're in heat right now, barely coherent, traumatized from years of abuse. His jaw clenched. Did she set this up? Force you into this position? No. She was trying to protect me, protect the information. She didn't know. Sage's breath hitched. She didn't know I'd spend 5 years running, that I'd be so damaged by the time I found you. You're not damaged. I can't do this? Sage turned her face away. I can't submit to an alpha, any alpha. Not after my father killed my mother because she was too weak. Because omegas are supposed to be obedient and small, and his. I won't. I can't. I'm not asking you to submit. Dimitri's voice was gentle, devastating. I'm asking you to trust me, but I know that's too much right now. So instead, I'm going to leave. I'm going to have Dr. Chen bring you suppressants for the heat. And when you're stable, when you're not being controlled by biology, we'll talk. Really talk. About the bond. About your mother's memories. About what you want. You'd wait? Sage's voice was small. Even knowing what I carry? The information you need? Justice delayed is better than a forced bond. Dimitri stood, and the loss of his warmth made Sage whimper. I've waited 15 years to avenge my family. I can wait as long as you need. He was almost to the door when Sage spoke again. The pups, the wolfsbane poisoning. Dimitri turned. What about it? It's not just poison. Dr. Chen said it was modified, enhanced. Sage forced herself to focus through the heat haze. What if it's not meant to kill them? What if it's meant to track them? The colour drained from Dimitri's face. Marcus, he roared. The beta was there in seconds. What? The pup's poison. Get Dr. Chen. Run every test. I want to know if there's any kind of tracking mechanism in that wolfsbane. Now. Marcus was gone. Dimitri looked back at Sage, his expression grim. If you're right, he said quietly, if someone is tracking those pups, then bringing them here just led your enemies straight to your door, Sage finished. An alarm started blaring. Shouts echoed through the halls. The estate's defensive wards were activating, one after another. Dimitri's phone rang. He answered, his face going hard. How many? A pause. All unmated? No alpha signature? Another pause. It's a distraction. They're after... His eyes met Sage's. Get everyone to the safe room. Omega and Pups first. Full lockdown protocol. He hung up, crossed back to Sage in 3 strides. Someone just breached our perimeter, he said. 20 wolves. All unmated males, all responding to an Omega's heat signature being broadcast from inside my estate. Sage's blood went cold. That's impossible. I'm the only Omega. You're the only Omega in heat. Someone's amplifying your scent, broadcasting it, drawing every unmated wolf in a 50-mile radius straight here. Why? Because while we're distracted fighting them off, someone else is going to slip in. Someone who knows exactly where you are, where the pups are. Dimitri's voice was lethal. Someone who's been tracking those children since they escaped. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. And through the door, Sage heard a voice she'd spent 5 years praying she'd never hear again. "Hello, daughter," Alpha Silas Bennett called. "Did you really think you could hide from me forever?" Sage's world stopped. Dimitri's wolf surged forward, golden eyes blazing in the darkness. "Stay behind me," he commanded. "Whatever happens, Sage, stay behind me." But she was already moving, already shifting, her wolf emerging for the first time in 5 years, silver white and furious, because her father had found her. And this time she wasn't running. This time she was going to fight. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. Sage's wolf was smaller than she remembered. Silver white, compact, built for speed rather than combat. She stood between Dimitri and the door, hackles raised, a growl rumbling through her chest that surprised her with its ferocity. "Stand down," Dimitri said quietly. "You're in heat, newly shifted, and he's a full alpha. This isn't a fight you can win." "I don't care." "I do." His hand touched her flank, gentle. "Let me handle this." The door exploded inward. Alpha Silas Bennett stood in the doorway and Sage's wolf whined despite herself. He looked exactly as she remembered. Tall, broad-shouldered, with the kind of presence that made lesser wolves submit on instinct. His eyes found her immediately, cold and calculating. "There you are," he said. "I've been looking everywhere for you, little girl." "Don't call me that." Sage's voice came out distorted through her wolf form, more growl than words. "Still defiant, I see. Your mother tried to break you of that." Silas stepped into the room, flanked by 4 wolves Sage didn't recognize. It didn't work out well for her, did it? Dimitri moved faster than Sage could track. One moment he was beside her. The next he had Silas by the throat, slammed against the wall, hard enough to crack plaster. "You admit to killing your mate?" Dimitri's voice was death itself. "In front of witnesses? In my territory?" Silas smiled. "Liana wasn't my mate, she was my prize. A Volkov Omega handed over after your family's little coup failed. Did you know that, nephew? Your precious aunt was payment for Pack Alliance. You're lying. Am I? Ask your beta. Ask Stefan how many deals were made in the aftermath. How many pieces your family was carved into." Dimitri's hand tightened. "Stefan isn't here." "No?" Silas's smile widened. "Then where is he?" The words had barely left his mouth when the entire estate shook. An explosion. Close. Too close. Marcus's voice crackled through Dimitri's earpiece. "We're under attack. Stefan just activated sleeper agents in the guard. He's making a move for the throne room. Dimitri, it's a coup." Dimitri's eyes went wide. For just a second, his grip on Silas loosened. That's all it took. Silas shifted, his wolf massive and black, throwing Dimitri across the room. The 4 wolves with him lunged. Sage didn't think. She just moved, her smaller wolf intercepting one of the attackers, teeth finding throat. Blood filled her mouth. The wolf beneath her gurgled and went still. She'd just killed someone. "Sage, run!" Dimitri was fighting 3 wolves at once, his voice strained. "Get to the pups and—" "I'm not leaving you." "That's an alpha command." He grunted as claws raked across his ribs. "Run, now." Sage's body locked up. The command hit her like a physical force, demanding obedience, submission, compliance. But nothing happened. She stood there, frozen, not by compulsion but by shock, as her wolf simply ignored the order. Silas noticed. His massive head swung toward her, yellow eyes gleaming. "Interesting," he rumbled. "The death ritual worked better than Liana thought. You're immune to alpha commands now, aren't you, daughter?" "What are you talking about?" "Your mother's last gift. She transferred more than memories." Silas circled her, casual despite the battle raging around them. She transferred her resistance, the Volkov line's natural immunity to compulsion. It's why they tortured her for days and got nothing. Why she could defy any alpha, even me. Dmitri had gone very still despite the wolves attacking him. That's impossible. Immunity doesn't transfer through the death ritual. It does when the Omega is strong enough. And Liana was the strongest Omega I've ever known. Silas's laugh was bitter. I spent 15 years trying to break that strength, trying to breed it into something useful through my daughter. But she helped the girl escape instead. So you killed her and came after me, Sage said. I would have, but you disappeared too well. Suppressants, fake identities, living like a rogue. Silas shook his massive head. I might never have found you if you hadn't made one mistake. The pups. The pups. Silas's attention shifted to the medical wing. Speaking of which, I believe they're mine. He lunged toward the connecting door. Sage moved on instinct, throwing her smaller body at his, teeth aiming for his legs. He swatted her aside, like she weighed nothing. She hit the wall hard enough to see stars, her ribs screaming. Sage! Dimitri's roar shook the room. His alpha power exploded outward, forcing the attacking wolves to their knees. He shifted mid-leap, his wolf enormous and silver, tackling Silas away from the medical wing door. They collided like thunder. Sage struggled to her feet, tasting blood. Through the chaos, she heard crying. The pups. Sarah was screaming for her. She shifted back to human, ignoring her nakedness, ignoring the pain. The medical wing door was locked from the inside. Smart. Dr. Chen had secured it when the attack started. It's me, she called. Open up. The lock clicked. Dr. Chen's face appeared, pale and terrified. Thank God. We need to... The ceiling exploded. Stefan dropped through in wolf form, massive and brown, landing directly on top of Dr. Chen. The physician went down hard, not moving. Stefan's wolf turned toward the pups, lips pulled back in a snarl. No! Sage threw herself in front of the children, arms spread wide. Stefan shifted to human, straightening. He was handsome, in a cruel way, with dark hair and darker eyes. Move aside, Omega. This doesn't concern you. Like hell it doesn't. The pups are evidence. They need to be eliminated before they can testify to what was done to them. They're children. They're political liabilities. Stefan pulled out a knife, the blade gleaming silver. And you're a complication I should have dealt with years ago. He moved fast. Sage was faster, her Omega reflexes enhanced by adrenaline and desperation. She caught his wrist twisted, heard bones snap. Stefan howled, stumbling back. You broke my wrist. You were going to stab me. Sage scooped up Sarah, putting herself between Stefan and all three pups. Get out. Or what? You'll use your Omega power on me? Stefan's laugh was ugly. I've been taking immunity suppressants for years. Your parlor tricks won't work. He lunged again. Sage ducked, but he'd been fainting. His foot caught her in the ribs, right where she'd already been injured. She went down gasping, losing her grip on Sarah. The little girl screamed, and something in the room shifted. Power. Raw. Unfocused. Desperate. It poured from the pups like water from a broken dam. Sarah's small body began to glow. So did Tommy's. Alex's. What? Stefan backed away. What are you doing? I don't... Sage couldn't breathe. The power was too much, too strong. It was pulling at her, demanding something she didn't understand. Sarah's form began to change, not shifting, growing. Her small frame stretched, aged, transformed. In seconds, the 6-year-old pup was gone, replaced by a teenage girl with the same amber eyes and dark hair. Oh my God, Sage whispered. Tommy and Alex were changing too, growing, aging. The little boys she'd protected becoming young men, tall and strong and utterly bewildered. Sarah? Tommy's voice cracked. Alex, what happened to us? The curse. Stefan's face had gone white. She broke the de-aging curse. That's impossible. Only the caster can... I'm not the caster, Sage said. I'm an Omega. We break curses. It's what we do. The 3 teenagers stared at her, at each other, at their changed bodies. How old are we? Sarah demanded. I remember being 6, but I also remember... Her eyes went wide. I remember being 15. I remember my pack. My father. He was Alpha Marcus of the Northern Ridge Pack, and someone took me. Took us. There was a white room and needles and... They were erasing your inheritance rights, Sage realized. De-aging you. Turning alpha heirs into orphaned pups with no memory, no claim. Stefan needed the throne, a new voice said. Everyone turned. In the doorway stood Marcus, Dimitri's beta. His face was grim. Beta? Stefan's voice was sharp. What are you doing here? Stopping you. Marcus stepped into the room, followed by a dozen guards. I've been investigating you for months, Stefan, gathering evidence. I knew you were planning a coup. I just didn't know how deep it went until tonight. You knew? Dimitri appeared behind Marcus, bleeding from a dozen wounds, his wolf barely contained. You knew and didn't tell me? I needed proof. Evidence you couldn't refute. Marcus pulled out a phone, pressed play. Stefan's voice filled the room. Eliminate the Volkov line. De-age the heir claimants so they can't challenge me. Use Silas Bennett to track down Leanna's daughter. She's the only one who can expose us. That's enough, Stefan snarled. He shifted, lunging at Marcus. Dimitri intercepted him mid-leap. The two wolves collided, tearing at each other with savage intensity. But Stefan was fresh. Dimitri was injured, exhausted, fighting on fumes. He was losing. Sage felt it through whatever connection existed between them. Felt his strength waning. Felt his wolf struggling. Alex, she said sharply, your wolf. Do you remember how to shift? The teenager nodded, eyes bright. Yes, I think so. Then shift. Help the Alpha King, all three of you. They moved as one. 3 new wolves joining the fray. Suddenly Stefan was facing 4 opponents instead of 1. He fought viciously, desperately, but numbers won. Within minutes he was pinned, bleeding, defeated. Dimitri shifted back to human, breathing hard. Bind him. Silver chains. He doesn't get to shift again until his execution. Guards moved in. Stefan struggled, screaming threats, promises of revenge. They dragged him away. Sage slumped against the wall, every injury catching up at once. Sarah, teenage Sarah, who barely knew her, wrapped arms around her. Thank you, the girl whispered. Thank you for protecting us. I didn't do much. You did everything. A commotion in the main room made everyone tense. More fighting. But then Marcus's voice called out, It's over. Silas Bennett is down. Sage pushed to her feet, ignoring her screaming ribs. Stumbled into the main room, found her father's body on the floor, throat torn out. Dimitri standing over him in human form. He's dead, Dimitri said quietly. He won't hurt you again. Sage stared at the corpse, waited for relief, grief, something. She felt nothing. Good, she finally said. Dimitri's eyes met hers across the blood-soaked room. Are you hurt? Broken ribs, maybe a concussion, nothing fatal. Sage, we have a problem. She cut him off, gesturing to where Tommy stood. The teenager looked exactly like the portraits lining the hall. Same silver eyes, same sharp features. That's not Tommy, Sage said. Tell him who you really are. The boy, young man, lifted his chin. My name is Alexei Volkov. I'm the younger son of the late Alpha King Vladimir Volkov. His eyes locked on Dimitri. I'm your brother. And I've been missing for 7 years. The silence was absolute. Dimitri moved forward slowly, like he was approaching a ghost. Alexei died. They found your body after the coup. I buried you. You buried someone else? They took me instead? Used me for the first trial of the de-aging spell? Alexei's voice cracked. I've been a child for 7 years, Dimitri. 7 years of not understanding why I couldn't remember my family. Why everything felt wrong. Dimitri pulled his brother into a crushing embrace. I looked for you. I never stopped looking. I know. Sage watched them, something breaking open in her chest. Family. Reunion, love. Everything she'd lost when her mother died. The room started spinning. She'd used too much power, taken too much damage. Her legs gave out. Dimitri caught her before she hit the ground. "Everyone out," he commanded. "Now." The room cleared, even Marcus, even Alexei, until it was just Dimitri and Sage in the destroyed medical wing, surrounded by blood and debris. "You're dying," Dimitri said flatly. "I can feel it, the healing, the curse breaking, the stress, your body's shutting down. I'll be fine. You won't. Dr. Chen?" He called toward where the physician was being tended by another medic. "How long does she have?" Dr. Chen's face was grave. "Hours, maybe less. She's burned through her life force completely. The only thing that could save her now is a mate bond," Dimitri finished. "The connection would let her draw on my strength, my healing." "Yes." Sage closed her eyes. "No. Sage, I won't be forced into this. I won't." She coughed, tasting blood. "I spent 5 years running from Alpha Control. I'm not going to die bound to someone I don't know, don't trust." "Then you'll just die? Better that than living as property." "I'm not asking you to be my property." Dimitri's voice was rough. "I'm asking you to live, that's all. Live, and we'll figure out the rest later. The mate bond is permanent, irreversible." "I know. You'd bind yourself to someone who doesn't want you, who might never want you." "Yes." No hesitation. "Because you're brave and fierce, and you threw yourself in front of my brother without knowing who he was. Because you healed 3 broken pups at the cost of your own life. Because you faced your abuser and didn't flinch." His hand cupped her face. "Because you're my mate, and I'll take whatever part of you you're willing to give, even if it's nothing but resentment." Sage's breath caught. "That's pathetic?" "Probably. But I've waited 15 years for justice. I can wait however long it takes for you to trust me." Her vision was greying at the edges. Dying. She was actually dying. "If I do this," she whispered, "if I accept the bond, you have to promise me something. Anything. The pups, all of them, including your brother, they're not pawns, not political tools. They get to choose their own futures." "Done. And I get autonomy, my own space, my own choices. You don't get to command me just because we're mated. I wouldn't dream of it. And if I decide I can't do this, if being bonded to you becomes too much, I'll find a way to break it somehow." His eyes were fierce. "Even if it kills me, I'll set you free." Sage studied his face, looking for lies, manipulation, the control her father had wielded like a weapon. She found only desperation, and something that looked like hope. "Okay," she said. "Do it." Dimitri's eyes flashed gold. "You're sure?" "No, but I'm dying anyway, so—" He kissed her. It wasn't gentle, wasn't careful. It was claiming and desperate, and it tasted like blood and pine and home. Sage's wolf surged up to meet his, the bond snapping into place like a rubber band pulled too tight. Power flooded through her, his strength, his healing, his entire being pouring into her empty reserves. She gasped against his mouth, feeling bones knit, bleeding stop, exhaustion fade. But she also felt the bond lock, permanent, irreversible, tying her to this alpha for the rest of her life. When Dimitri pulled back, his eyes were still gold. "How do you feel?" "Like I'd just signed away my freedom." His face fell. "Sage, but alive." She touched her ribs. "No pain. Definitely alive. I'll earn this, the bond, your trust, even if it takes forever." "It might. I know." He helped her stand, his touch careful, respectful. "But you're worth the wait, and now we have forever to figure this out." Sage looked around the destroyed room, at the blood, the bodies, the evidence of how close they'd all come to dying. "Your brother's alive," she said. "Stefan's defeated. My father's dead." "Yes. So what now?" Dimitri's hand found hers, squeezed gently. Now we rebuild. You heal. The pups, the teenagers, recover their identities. And I prove to you that this bond doesn't have to be a cage. And if you can't, then I'll spend every day trying anyway. Sage wanted to pull away, to run, but her wolf was calm for the first time in 5 years. Content. The bond was humming between them, warm and steady. Not a chain. Not yet, but not freedom either. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Dimitri, the council is calling. They want a report on... He saw them holding hands, saw the bond mark appearing on both their necks. Oh, well, congratulations? It's complicated, Sage said. Isn't it always? Marcus's smile was understanding. For what it's worth, you probably just saved the entire kingdom. Stefan had at least 30 alpha heirs under his control. You broke all of them free. I didn't mean to. Doesn't matter. You did it anyway. He bowed slightly. Welcome to the family, Queen Sage. I'm not a queen. The mate bond says otherwise. Sage looked at Dimitri, at the male who was now irrevocably tied to her, who'd given her his word, his strength, his entire future. I don't trust you, she said quietly. Not yet. I know. And I might never love you the way a mate should. I'll take whatever you can give, even if that's nothing. Even then. Dimitri's thumb brushed across her knuckles. Because the stray pups led me to my queen. And if she's a captive instead of a consort, then I'll spend the rest of my life proving myself worthy of the throne in her heart. Sage's throat tightened. That's true, he finished, every word. She wanted to argue, to push him away, to protect herself from the vulnerability of being bound to someone who could hurt her. But her wolf was quiet, content. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. For now. Okay, she said. Let's rebuild. Dimitri smiled. It transformed his entire face. Together? Sage thought of the pups, the teenagers who'd called her mama. Of Alexei, who'd been lost and was now found. Of the bond humming between them. Permanent and terrifying, and oddly... right. Together, she agreed, and somewhere in her memories, Liana's memories, she felt her mother's approval. Well done, little one. Well done. The stray pups had led him to his queen, but she was a captive, not a consort, and Dmitri Volkov had just signed up for the fight of his life, to earn the trust of a woman who had every reason not to give it. But as he looked at Sage, saw the strength in her eyes despite everything she'd survived, he knew one thing for certain. She was worth it. Every moment, every battle, every careful step forward. Because true queens weren't born. They were forged in fire, and his queen had been burning for 5 years. Now it was time to help her rise from the ashes, together. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily, and also to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.